What's going on, guys? I'm Ben Bateman.
And I'm Andrew Guy.
And we are the Action Guys.
The Action Guys.
We are the Action Guys.
The Action Guys. Nice. That's Jason Statham.
Nice.
That's not us. He's here in studio.
He's here in studio. This is an audio show, so you can't see him.
And for those of you on video, we only have these two cameras set up because he didn't.
Is not taller than the table, so you can't see him. Just kidding.
He's only an inch shorter than me, but he feels appallingly short.
Yeah, and he's really rich and successful, and it's fun to make fun of him.
It is. He's doing great.
He's doing really well for himself. Here we are. These mics smell bad, and
He's Makuga, man. I swear he doesn't brush his teeth for days before he does this
because he knows you're going to be recording on this mic. He's got you.
He has. He has gotten me.
He totally got you. All right, guys, this is a show called The Action Guys. That's Andrew Guy, and I'm Ben Bateman. As we said, we talk about movies on this show. Today's episode is going to be the top 10 most absurd moments from the Fast and the Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, a film that we got to watch together in a theater.
Yep.
We don't do that often anymore, but this time it felt necessary, and this was all of the absurdity, all the ridiculousness that you would expect. And we're going to talk about the 10 most ridiculous moments. But before we get to those moments, a couple quick things I want to shout out. Number one, Drew, where can the folks find you? They want to follow along with your career.
If you guys want to follow my career, you can find my MySpace. No, you guys can find me at Andrew Guy on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the show at Team Action Show on Twitter. And, this episode actually goes live on video. I think by the end of the week, Fridays is when it goes up to the general audience at youtube.com/Action Industries. If you're a patron to our Patreon, then you'll actually get it tomorrow.
Awesome. And you guys know where to find me. I'm just kidding. You guys can find me at Ben Bateman Media. At Ben Bateman Media and Twitter and Instagram. And Team Action Show is our brand. You can find that all the different places. Be sure to check out patreon.com/Team Action for all kinds of fun shit. We have all kinds of special hangouts. We do a couple live streams a week on that channel on our YouTube, youtube.com/Action Industries. And finally, we have a live show coming up August 29th at the New York Comedy Club in New York. It's going to be us doing a bunch of super awesome sketches and an episode of AMA talking about MacGruber and some live music, some Schmodown stuff. We're really excited. We're going to be there. Tickets are going fast, so be sure to get them at newyorkcomedyclub.com.
And there's also the link down below in the description here. Thanks. Big shout out to Cody Hall, who is soon to be a father. Great guy up there helping us out. I don't know why I always point up, but I always feel like they should be up.
Yeah.
Looking down on us.
It would be cool if he got any of our jokes.
Yeah, well, he doesn't listen to the show after he starts it, and I don't blame him.
Yeah.
He's got other stuff to do. And he hasn't seen Hobbs and Shaw, which, again, we're going to be talking about the most ridiculous moments from this movie. It'll feel like maybe a little nitpicky here and there, but that's not the intention of it. The intention of it is kind of enjoy the absurdity that is the world of Fast and the Furious.
And I think that's a great place for us to start this conversation because we are going to count down these moments. But before we really start the countdown, I think one thing to address is all right, blockbuster filmmaking in general has been changed by, I would say the MCU just changed it. Because now these really big CGI-driven movies with huge stars and big sweeping plot lines and shared universes, they've kind of taught us to expect quality.
Yeah.
Like, the MCU taught us that, you can do this in a way with a lot of movies and really crazy set pieces and big actors, but it can be really good.
Yeah, I mean, you can look back and be like, holy crap, Kevin Feige had Easter eggs for Endgame and Iron Man 1. I mean, obviously that's an extreme example, but it's happened over and over. And I think, what is it, the Eternals or something got announced, and there's been all these moments throughout all the films where it's actually already been referenced, and it's just like, damn, dude, you did your work. You put in the time. And so if you take out the MCU, what ends up happening when you look at these tentpole films is that, for the most part, by and large, they're enormous, CGI-driven, huge movie stars with pretty thin scripts and not a whole lot of believable stuff. Now, when the genre of big blockbuster action movies started to kind of catch wind of okay, if we kind of make reference to how ridiculous this is in the movie, we're self-aware, the audience will like it more. So Fast 5 happened, you're halfway through this franchise, and it completely reinvents the franchise. It's like all of a sudden, we know this is silly, we know this is ridiculous, these characters are going to be over the top, and it's going to work, and you're going to like it. And it worked. It did. It really did. Now, that being said, they had also laid the groundwork for a long time with the other 4 movies that, obviously, like you said, the first one's fine. It's basically an exact rip-off of Point Break. It is. I mean, we were told that by the director. But you still cared about the characters. And enough time had gone by in the actual real world that you were like, I like Paul Walker. I like Vin Diesel. I like Michelle Rodriguez. I like what they're doing.
Yeah.
So when 5 came out after the break, you were like, wow, I'm in. They're having fun. I'm having fun.
Well, remember, because 4 is the comeback, right? So
Right.
4 didn't get it yet. 4 was like, okay, we're gonna bring the cast back together and see how this works, and it made enough money that they were like, all right, 5, we need franchise Viagra, so let's put The Rock in there.
Yep.
And this is before he was franchise Viagra. So that was like the thing that made him that. And Hobbs becomes the most enjoyable character in the franchise at that point.
Yeah, and let's shoot the action with adrenaline, and then let's make a movie. So that's what they did with 5, 6, 7, 8, and now Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. But the problem is, those movies, I think one thing that we kind of forget about them is that they're ensemble movies. It's
Right.
not just because of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel that you go and see the Fast and Furious movies.
No.
It's because of all the other people in it. Like, I don't know how often I get to see Tyrese in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, Ludacris.
Right.
Right? But they're
Totally.
actually great together.
Gal Gadot.
Gal Gadot. Before she was Wonder Woman, you didn't know, but she came in. She was great.
The actor that plays Han.
Yeah. Who apparently will. They were saying there's something about he's getting his revenge in this movie.
Well, no, because he gets killed. Han gets killed.
He gets killed by Statham.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because Gadot dies at the end of 6. She falls off the plane, I think.
Yeah.
And 7 is maybe where Han dies. Or 8?
I don't even know.
Dies in one of the last couple.
I thought he died in like the second one. Is
Oh, no,
flash forward.
it's a flashback.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Statham kills him. I think it's between 6 and 7.
But that's what I mean is like I heard he was supposed to like get revenge in this movie by
Justice for Han or something.
Yeah, it doesn't make any
in
sense.
9, I'm not sure.
So anyway,
Yeah.
we decided that we were going to go into this with open arms, no expectations, and even then it still felt a little too ridiculous.
Well, okay, there's a whole conversation, right? So, like, a bunch of people that saw this movie, the initial reactions were like, this movie was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was just all fun, totally ridiculous, the most fun movie of the summer, right? And a lot of people said, like, this is the most fun movie in the Fast and the Furious franchise. Well, I also saw people online talking about, like, it's indefensible to say that this movie is fun and awesome, but that G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra is a bad movie. Like,
yeah.
right? Because, like, what's the difference, really?
I like G.I. Joe.
Yeah. and the idea is, like, any of these big blockbuster movies that are just, like, dumb and full of, like, huge explosions and tons of CGI and big movie stars.
And really, like, juvenile humor.
The Transformers movies, like, they're all kind of in the same class. How do you separate this? And I think it's entirely based on expectation. I think it's totally like, this movie is supposed to be exactly this. If this movie wasn't this, you'd be surprised.
But don't you think it'd be better to be surprised? Because you expected exactly what you got, didn't you?
I guess I hoped for more. I was hoping there was going to be like, and you know what? Some of the stuff I hoped for, I got. I got Vanessa Kirby. She was great.
She was
I
amazing.
got Idris. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Every few jokes, I got like a good moment. Like their chemistry as like the odd couple was generally funny. It was overdone, but they were good together.
Yeah. I mean, they're not. I mean, you even get it for a moment. I mean, they're not like Deadpool in his cab driver.
No.
They're not like even Kevin Hart and The Rock working together in like Jumanji. I mean, you did get Kevin Hart and The Rock working together for a moment. It was pretty funny, but for the most part, I mean, Jason Statham and The Rock did well enough, but neither of them are great comedic actors. They need a true comedian on the other side to help them out, whether it's Melissa McCarthy or Kevin Hart, which we've seen time and time again.
Or Ryan Reynolds.
You know? So that being said, we're going to get into the top 10 most ridiculous moments from Hobbs and Shaw. And I mean, I guess just let us know if you agree with these moments, if we missed any moments, if these actually aren't that absurd. Maybe you are like an engineer who works on helicopters. You're like, no, that scene was perfect.
That's totally reasonable. So we're going to start with number 10. And this is, so there's this moment where Vanessa Kirby is like, we've got to get this virus out of my body. Like, she does this thing. And they start the process. Like, Cliff Curtis designs a sweet machine.
Yeah, after he builds it with a 3D printer.
Yep.
Very impressive.
Yep. Oh, yeah. He's smart.
Best engineer that Rock knows in 25 years of not seeing him.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so he builds this machine, and they, like, plug it into Vanessa Kirby, and then it was going to work. But it's going to take, like, 40 minutes.
It's going to take 30 minutes, and she has 33 minutes until the virus goes active.
Yeah.
These are things.
All right, so this all starts, and like, we cut to 9 minutes left. I believe we cut to 9 minutes left, and it's still like pitch black outside. Yeah, it's like about to be dawn. They're like, "Hey, the bad guys are all here." Cut to like 9 minutes. They walk outside. Now, a few things have to happen here. The Rock takes his time. He gives a Samoan speech about strength and the island providing.
And brothers and
Vanessa Kirby disables the guns so that they can fight with spears
by using one glove.
Statham rides around in like a sweet old like jalopy with a flamethrower attached.
That's sweet.
Yeah,
the kill box.
The kill box. Yep, and he makes a circle of fire around all the Marines or the bad guys, and then we cut over, and the fight starts. So next time we cut back to Vanessa Kirby, it's light outside.
Yeah, it's not just like kind of dawn.
There's one
straight
shot,
up bright.
Well, there's one shot where it appears to be dawn, like the sun's coming up.
Yeah.
And then the next shot, it's clear the middle of the day.
Yes.
It's like 10 in the morning, 11 in the morning. And she has 2.5 minutes of her 9 left. So yeah, 6.5 minutes have passed in the time from the dark and all of the gadgets to now they're fighting and she's getting faint.
7.5 minutes. So, again, that's probably the most nitpicky one, but it was jarring when you were watching it. Because they kept talking about, like, he's going to attack it dawn because the enemy's still sleeping and blah, blah, blah. And you're like,
voice you got going there.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. And you're like, okay, it makes sense. They're going to attack exactly at dawn. Him and Idris used to work together. But then it was, for some reason, as you said, you're like, wait, has only 7 minutes passed on the timer? And I was like, no, there's got to be. I was like, no, you're right.
Let me out from under this table.
It's bright. Stay down there, Jason. But yeah, so speaking of the virus, let's get into number 9.
The Chimera virus.
The Chimera virus. It's actually not what it's called at all. Haunt. If you guys know what movie we're referencing, then you love Dougray Scott. Who doesn't love Dougray Scott?
Who doesn't love Dougray Scott?
So the virus, and this is one of the things that you and I talked about as soon as we got out of the movie theater. We love The Rock. Ed Harris, Nick Cage, Michael Biehn. Wonderful, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just so good. And one of the first thing that happens, if it's not the first thing, but one of the first things that happens is they go and they steal this VX gas from a very, very highly protected military bunker or storage, whatever, facility. And they actually do a really sweet job taking everyone out. They take everyone out non-lethally. The only person that dies in the whole exchange is one of the bad soldiers who gets caught in the room when a VX gas pearl, string of pearls,
it's very dangerous. Elegant string of pearls configuration. These pearls are obviously fake.
Pearls are obviously fake because I own them. The gas goes off, and you see exactly what happens.
And is it David Morse or Ed Harris standing at the door? David Morse,
It's
right?
David Morse, yeah. And
sorry.
And Ed Harris is there at first, and he's like, get out of here. Oh, no, it's David Morse the whole time. So he watches him because he's that kind of colonel that he's going to sit there and be with you through your last moments. And you see the guy's skin starts to, like, boil and, like,
freaked me out as a kid.
As a kid, it was horrifying. I had nightmares about it. That's how gnarly it was. And all within the first 10 minutes of the movie, you get this. And so for the rest of the movie, when they talk about releasing the gas in San Francisco, you're like, oh, no.
This would happen to all these people.
That would be so insanely gnarly.
Yeah.
That cannot happen.
No.
In this movie, we never once get anything about this virus other than people talking about what it can do.
It's also the same virus as the Mission Impossible 2 virus. It's just not called the Chimera virus.
Yeah, it's not actually called it. Bellerophon and Chimera.
But it's the same thing.
It's the same thing, and it's like supposed to pick apart the cells in your body, and they're going to target. It's a MacGuffin.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Also, the other sweetest part is they do a very bad job of explaining why. I know they explain at one point, but like Vanessa Kirby injects the pellets, like the virus, into her body.
Right.
And like the whole movie, you're sort of like, really? They can just stay in her body and like nothing's happening. They're in like metal or something like that.
Thandie Newton.
Yeah.
Thank you. She does the same thing in Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
But she actually starts to get sick.
Yeah.
Whereas Kirby has
She gets kind of weak towards the end.
Yeah, she does. She's starting to get a little, which again, like they're still intact when they get taken out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The whole virus thing just bothered me because I think honestly what you do, since the doctor didn't matter and you put him in the movie anyway, you just kill him with the virus.
Yeah.
So that you can see what happens to the man that created it.
That's what bad guys do.
Right?
The virus is kind of, I mean, like he's exactly the guy you kill.
Easy.
We're all satisfied. You feel kind of bad for him.
We're glad someone died.
This is the other sweetest part. So I went during like 5 minutes before like you see the doctor die.
Yeah.
To go get us more whiskey, and I came back, and early in the film they were like, the doctor who created this is missing. No one's ever seen him. And I like came back in. I like for a second saw like a guy with glasses, and I was like, that's the doctor, right?
You're right, and he's gonna die, right? And I was like, he's dead right now.
Like, 100% that's the doctor.
Yeah. And he didn't die yet. what should have happened is Idris should have just ripped his head off when he snapped his neck. That's what should have. I mean, come on, right? That's what would have been perfectly in line with the rest of this movie.
Idris is so sweet. All right, let's get into number 8. Now we're gonna start to get into the better ones.
We're getting into the good stuff now.
So there's a scene where The Rock and Jason Statham are chained to these chairs with like enormous chains, like huge chains,
like the chains that The Rock uses to work out with.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're way more superficial. They like probably aren't even that strong. They just look really sweet.
And they're attached to a bunch of car batteries. Yeah, it looks like
totally. And Idris definitely was the kind of guy that would take his time while they're knocked out.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Wrap it another time around his leg.
Yeah, good. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. And so they wake up, and Idris is like, "Y'all can take a few shocks."
He's like,
decent
that's actually not bad. He's like, the average man can take 3.
Yeah,
or something like that, and then they die. Right?
He says like you have 5 between the two of you. Is that what he says?
I don't even know what he
make
says.
Any
No. I think he just says that like the average person dies at 3.
Yeah. So you got 5 between the two of you.
Something like that.
One of you will die or something. So then The Rock's like, we can take 5, and like, and of course, so at that point, The Rock, because he is a superhuman. I mean, Idris is a superhuman. That's the sweetest part of this franchise. That in this movie, unabashedly, they were just like, look, it worked really well for the MCU. Let's just make him like a robot. It's fine.
It'll be perfect. He's Bucky.
Yeah, who cares? Like this doesn't need to be even remotely rooted in reality. If these cars are doing crazy things, why can't he have like a metal spine? And so
the spine thing was kind of gnarly when they showed it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It was cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
And so he just starts shocking these guys, and like they're both so tough that they really aren't affected by getting shocked 5 or 6 times each when you're supposed to die after 2 to 3.
And he even makes the joke. He's like, why did you say that? Or Jason, you said that, and then The Rock was like, he's like, I thought it sounded cool at the time. Which was a great line, but also like, they should be pissing their pants or like bleeding out of their eyes or like something that makes me feel even remotely worried for him. And then instead it becomes this monologue about Mick Jagger,
right?
So that they know that. Anyway, 6 shocks from that many car batteries from a superhuman.
Yeah.
You are so freaking dead.
Yeah. Trust me, I know from experience.
I've been shocked by a car battery once. I've got 3 years left to live. All right, next up, how about this? Roman Reigns is in the movie, and he's been highlighted in trailers, at press junkets.
Oh yeah, he's like Roman Reigns. He looks jacked. You can see him. He's in the Samoa scene. He's like wearing what's it called? A
kilt.
Nope. Loincloth? No, I don't think that's right either.
That's not. None of those things.
Culturally, wish I knew the phrase to use.
I could try to look it up right now.
Yeah, let's not offend anyone.
Yeah,
so let's try to look that up. He's wearing something that we don't know the name of. It's like some sort of like a ceremonial
kilt,
like an apron kind of thing.
Like a lava.
It's called a lava. It's like a battle apron.
Yeah.
So and he's jacked. You know, he's a real big guy. He was WrestleMania champion, right? He even is WrestleMania champion to the point that he was supposed to kind of at one point come in and like replace The Rock. Like he Rock was gone already, but he was sort of like he was pushed really hard by WWE to like be the next big thing.
Okay, and he kind of did become that, right? Didn't most people kind of not like him though?
Kind of.
I don't watch wrestling, obviously.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like he came in and people didn't like him very much, but also like all these wrestlers now, you know, you've seen it with Cena and Batista. Like if they push you and you're famous and they put you in movies, like you'll have a career. That's like a thing that happens. Yeah. And so you see him in this movie and you're like, okay, Rock early is like, I've got this brother. I never see him. And he's in
25 years.
Yeah, and like you're like, oh, it's okay for sure. It's 100% Roman Reigns.
Has to be Roman Reigns.
How is it not
his
Roman
younger
Reigns?
brother who he left or something?
They've been promoting it, and he shows up, and Roman's huge, so it's defensible. You know, it's his brother. They show up in Samoa, knocks on the door, and he's like, oh yeah, it's what's going to happen. He's going to get punched in the face and knocked out by his brother. You're like, oh, it makes sense. Roman Reigns. He's going to hit The Rock in the face.
Roman Reigns doesn't have one line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
He has a spear moment, apparently, that I'd forgotten about.
He isn't the guy that when they open the door. We'll get to that.
No.
But he has a spear moment. He yells a couple times. There's one moment where like they're all talking about the plan around a table, but it's part of a montage. You can see his mouth moving. But he was talking in that scene.
Right.
And probably when they were shooting it, he was like, "This is sweet.
This is my
They're
line.
Gonna use me.
I want to say this."
And then when they were actually editing, they were like, "Yeah, I just don't really need to hear him talk. So we'll just make this part of a monologue or just a montage. We'll just cut to it real fast."
So if you guys know, let us know in the comments below. Is Roman Reigns really that bad of an actor? Do you think it was just unfortunate editing if you're him to where they were, because I feel like if he was good enough they would have used him. They had to have, right?
For sure.
It's a big name.
Yeah.
So anyway, him not having any lines was definitely absolutely shocking. Now we're getting into the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So number 6 here, you got the under-tanker glide, or like the cross buses. The car makes its way through first by sliding under both of them, which I don't know if you guys have seen a little movie called National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It's not as easy to pull off as you'd think, getting a car underneath a truck.
Well,
but they do it.
Jason, what's that, Jason? What'd you? No, please stay down there. No, Jason says.
I drove that car.
Jason's like, watch, I'm gonna save your life again. Like, and so then they do this like sweet glide where like the what kind of car is that? It's a McLaren, right?
Yeah.
You know, which by the way, I love. Like during the fight, they're driving this like beautiful McLaren that hasn't gotten scuffed at all, and The Rock just starts shooting through the window. I was like, this like beautiful car, and they're like so carefully not smashing into things. That's part of what's going on. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you probably.
Just roll down the window.
At any point in time, like when you started driving, if you could have just like it would have taken a second. So that if you had to shoot, you could like
do it right.
It's probably going to affect the trajectory of your bullet to shoot through a window. It's probably also not safe considering there's 3 of you in the car to like shoot the window.
And it's a McLaren.
Yeah, like
it's beautiful.
So, but anyway, so they slide sideways under the tanker, and you're like, how on earth is Idris gonna get under this thing? And so he like does a sick move. Where he like, because he has a sweet bike.
Yeah, well, the bike is never really acknowledged that it's like, it has its own brain.
It's so awesome.
It's like straight up just AI.
I love at the beginning, after that whole fight starts, just like the bike just like, I looked over at you and I was like, it's this kind of a movie, huh? This is sweet.
Does it have a name?
Yeah.
Is it his dog?
Maybe, probably.
It reminded me of my dog.
Yeah, it seemed like he was really into it. It's like it perfectly stands up straight. It can like, it's kind of like a Roomba.
Yeah, it is.
It sees the wall.
It's the next Roomba.
Yeah.
So what is the bike? Because the bike actually like contorts a little bit, doesn't it, when it's underneath the tanker?
I don't think the bike contorts, but like it like definitely he like pulls a move where he like basically sidesteps and like hangs onto the back of the Roomba for a second.
Right.
And it like he like crouches down real small. And like manages to like slide under the tanker also, and
but
then
he goes like he like figure eights.
Yeah, and then he like swings his body back up and over onto the moving bike. And Statham is like, shit.
He caught us.
He caught us.
But I do have to say, I did like how they ended up getting away from him in that scene by pulling the U around the bus and then turning so that it just goes head on and then flies through
the bus.
And there's like a gigantic hole in the bus of where he went through.
Doesn't even hurt him at all.
Oh, it doesn't phase him.
No, he's a Superman.
Can't feel pain.
He's Black Superman.
So I don't know if it's actually the moment with the bike going underneath the tankers. It definitely is, but it's also just the bike in general and how they never acknowledge how awesome it is. How can they just never acknowledge how sweet
It's
that
a sweet
bike is?
You'd think like The Rock would have had a scene with Statham where he was like,
that bike's cool.
Yeah.
He's like, you're a dumb idiot.
Yeah, you're a big gorilla. The humor in this movie is just like, they were like, in the pitch meeting, they were like, all right, so he's like really pretentious. He like thinks he's James Bond, and he's just like The Rock. He's just The Rock.
He's just actually The Rock.
And they're gonna just sling insults at each other the whole movie.
and here's a couple to get a taste.
And here's a couple for you. Like, you're really big, and you stand out like a sore thumb.
And you're really small, and I could crush you with my finger.
All right, writing session's over.
That's it.
Yeah,
done.
That's the script. All right, guys, riff on that for a while.
For 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Next up this is one that you noticed in the movie, and I think it was very good. So you should take this one.
So, so like Vanessa Kirby is my favorite part of this movie.
She's wonderful.
We like Vanessa Kirby a lot from Mission Impossible Fallout. I think she's in The Crown. I've heard. I think it's The Crown. She's supposedly very good there. She's like awesome. She's super sexy. She's super strong. She's like feels like an action hero. Like I think she feels like she'll be a star.
Yeah, she's actually just a very good actress as well.
Yeah, I think she's in real life. She's like 31.
She's 31. She's like a little younger than I am.
She's in like a prime moment to have like a sweet action run for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Get something really big. Like in fact, if they were to tell me that after Bond 25 they were going to make James Bond a woman and it was her, I'd be so in.
I'm already in on that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
It's a good idea, right?
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And what's really funny is you kind of just spoke on the problem in Hollywood. Is you were like, she's 31, she's all these things, she could go on a run for the next 5 years.
Right.
Which is like, if it was a guy we were talking about, you'd be like, he could be doing this till he's 50.
Oh, he's just getting started, right?
Exactly.
Get cast as James Bond in 15 years and start his run as Bond in 15 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's just not the nature of the beast that we work in. So much so that her and Jason Statham they're clearly within a year or two of each other in the movie.
Yeah, they're supposed to be a couple years apart. I mean, like, they played together as kids. They did all these schemes.
Yeah, and you don't do that with your annoying younger sibling. You do it with your, like, buddy sibling, the one you're really close to. She's 31 in real life.
Yeah.
He's 52.
He could be her father.
He should be her father. There's a 21-year difference.
Yeah, it's absurd. Like, the idea, because I was trying to think how old they're supposed to be. Let's say you wanted to get around this and not be so nitpicky. Like, all right, are we supposed to believe that Statham is like 44, 42 maybe? Is he supposed to be 38?
Well, yeah, I mean, he has to be in his 30s because she cannot be in her 40s.
It feels like both Hobbs and Shaw are like, they feel 40 years old. That feels like the correct, like, okay, Rock's got some, like, he's got some salt and pepper beard going on. They're like full men.
Got a daughter,
Yeah, maybe 39 at best.
Mm-hmm.
And she could be, because she's like lived some life, maybe she's 34. Like, if you convince me that there's a 5-year difference, if you sell me the hardest on this,
I guess I'm on board, but you could also tell me she's 24.
And I
would also
fully
believe you. Whereas he cannot be 28.
No, there's no fucking chance. He actually looks 45.
He really does.
He really doesn't look like a young. We're not talking Tom Cruise here. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. It was definitely one of those things where it was just like, just make him her dad.
Because with Cruise in these movies, they don't try to sell it as brother-sister. They always just sell it as, like, Cruise is ambiguously 45 and the woman that he's with is younger, but they never, like, make them kiss or, like... So it's always, you kind of get away from it.
Kisses anyone.
He's transcended sexuality. We've talked about this.
I know. It's shocking to me that in all those heated moments with so many amazing female counterparts...
Oh, yeah, he used to.
A long
before
time
he
ago.
had transcended that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's
I just don't want
them
to know that I'm falling for you, Maverick.
Good. That was good.
All right, so the Statham and Kirby brother and sister or father and daughter is number 5. Getting on to number 4. This is a sweet one. All right, so it is a Fast and the Furious movie. You're going to need to have a gigantic, ridiculous action set piece with some cars. So in this one, you get the Samoan brothers, and they're all driving. They're like sweet, like souped up.
Those things are awesome.
Big cars.
I don't know what to call them.
I already used the phrase souped up jalopy once. I don't think that's what they are.
I don't think that's what they are either.
No.
But they're these crazy badass like island dune buggies that have been souped up, and they first of all they all figure out how to link them all together, not by hand.
No,
by bumping into each other weirdly or like
they
hitting
don't
switches.
Explain it either. There's like at one point one guy like he's driving to the other and he's like, okay now, and the car's like hit, and then it's like you just see like a lever be like, and I'm like, huh.
Oh, there's like the one where the guy hits the switch and then like the 2 hooks come down and he just like backs into him and it's like
that's the one where he throws the 2 hooks at the same time with both hands and they both land and lock on. I was like, wow, that is incredibly coordinated.
He's been practicing that hand-eye coordination for his whole 25 years.
Amazing.
What ends up happening is all 5 of these cars are then attached by one car to a helicopter.
Yeah, there's a chain. So The Rock throws a chain around the wing of a military helicopter that has the girl he's trying to save.
It's just the wing, right?
It's just the wing.
It's not like the bottom or anything. It's the wing.
There's no balance. It's
right.
one side.
Yes.
Yeah, and so the helicopter has like, it's flying.
Also, yes, what you're saying. The girl who he's trying to save is in this helicopter.
Like, the reality of this move is, if you suspend all your disbelief, what actually happens is the chain hits the wing, the helicopter swings down because you have the force of a car pulling it.
Vanessa Kirby falls out.
And dies. and then The Rock looks at Statham and Statham's like, why'd you do that, you dumb gorilla? And The Rock's like, don't call me a gorilla.
Give me what I want.
Give me what I want, Hunter. They start fighting with like tire irons or something.
Yeah, well, that's already happened.
Yeah.
He's fought with tire irons before. Him and Vin. I don't know enough about physics and NOS to understand how insane this scene is. That's the other thing, as I was saying, is like an engineer or like a nuclear physicist could like look at that scene and be like, oh no, it's actually completely accurate, and I just feel like a moron.
And he's like the military helicopter is so strong that it wouldn't even be affected.
Well, that was the other thing I was thinking, is that I feel like it goes one way or the other, right? Either the cars just yank the helicopter out of the sky because it's so off weight, off balance, and yanking on one side of it, or alternatively, the military helicopter would just pick them all up.
Right.
Because helicopters used to tow like massive cargo.
Yeah.
End of Mission Impossible.
Right.
It's carrying that gigantic thing.
But it's under it though.
Right. Well, this is still under it.
but it's one side.
I know. I
It's
don't know.
literally one side of something that is balanced perfectly. It's not like helicopters have one big thing sticking out one side and a flat side on the other. They're like symmetrical for a reason.
Why did Idris kill the poor helicopter pilot? Was he not trying hard
He
enough?
wouldn't take it up. He was like,
He couldn't.
Idris was like, take it up.
Then he like hit him in the throat and killed him instantly and throw him. Idris was so sweet.
He was sweet. I wanted him to use his metal teeth more. Like I wanted him to bite someone.
I wanted that to be a thing.
Eat like a peach.
Yeah, like a metal peach. Yeah, so that happening, and then they all are pulled off the cliff.
Oh yeah, but you're forgetting the fact that this is all of this is explained, the power of the cars. It's explained by the NOS, which is a hallmark of Fast and the Furious films. So it must have been the last. It would have to be the last car
To attach was the first person to use the NOS.
Well, they couldn't all be using NOS, right? If they were all linked, because then you're just NOSing into the car behind you.
Well, that's what I was also thinking. Is once the NOS got turned on, they all went in sequence and turned on their NOS. You feel like you would just be rear-ending the car in front of you, or like not moving.
So many just like guys hitting switches.
Yeah.
In this movie, like with a lot of masculinity.
And it used to be way cooler when Vin and Paul would hit their switches.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know why, but
I miss
was.
Paul Walker a lot.
I really do too.
I didn't even realize how much I liked Paul Walker until we didn't have him anymore.
Honest, as sad as it is to say, I think a lot of people were in the same boat. I think we all just kind of adored him.
Like took him for granted.
But took him for granted.
Yeah.
And now that he's gone, you're like, that guy was excellent.
He was great.
And I also heard he's like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah,
too,
I heard
on
the
set
same
and everything.
thing. Yeah.
So sad. Rest in peace, brother. Would have loved to see you hanging off the side of the helicopter instead.
Seriously, man. All right, so number 3, we got.
Oh, part of the same sequence. Perfect. Go ahead.
That's number 2 here. So we'll use that. We'll use that as number 3, and then we'll use number 3 as number 2 because I think that makes more sense.
Okay, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So number 2 is the most absurd moment in this entire sequence, which is that I'm not even exactly sure how we got here because we were pretty far into the movie at this point. I was pretty buzzed, and there was the ending of this movie felt a lot like. This happens to me sometimes in these big action movies, but there's so much happening for such an extended period of time.
It's like sensory overload.
Your brain just turns off.
Yeah.
You start if you ask me like, hey, so explain all the different beats that you all had to follow for months of your life, storyboarding to make me understand this. Like the guys that made this movie intimately understand every beat because like it takes like a month to shoot 2 minutes of this.
Yeah, they'd be like, oh, yeah, well, the chain that was wrapped around the toe came off, so The Rock grabbed it.
Yeah.
That's what happened, I think.
What I saw in the movie was like the chain was hitting, it was like attached to the helicopter and the big line of cars, and then somehow it got unattached. The Rock decided that he had to try to anchor the helicopter with himself.
So he would just grab the chain.
So he grabs the chain.
And grabs the car.
Yeah, and he's holding them together. Now, this similar move with a helicopter happened in Captain America the Winter Soldier, I believe.
Yeah.
But he is a superhero named Captain America who is as strong as Thor, in my opinion. He's a god. He's an actual god.
Did The Rock have his shirt off for this as well? Is his shirt still off?
No, he still had the shirt on. He actually puts his shirt on very intentionally after the Moana dance.
Right.
Sorry.
Don't call it that.
I meant to say Samoa dance.
I know.
It's not what I meant.
That's not what he meant. It's okay.
After the Samoan dance of battle to like ask the island for good, he like takes off his, what was it?
The lava.
Lava. Yep. He takes off his lava, and he's wearing like pants. And then as he jumps onto the car, he like quickly puts his shirt on. Which I was like, that's so interesting because like in reality in this moment you wouldn't have the foresight or wherewithal to put your shirt back on, but also why? Maybe it's because you don't want to have to shoot all these fucking scenes with your shirt off.
Yeah, maybe
like,
it's cold or maybe it's just.
I just think that like The Rock is in super crazy jack shape, but just like any of us, this is like you and I were talking about last night.
Yeah,
we've worked out a lot. If you're gonna do shirtless scenes in a movie, you want to be like The Rock looked when he had on his lava.
Yeah.
Like, and when you're 45, like you're as old, you're getting up there with The Rock. Like your body is not as elastic as it once was. It's hard to keep yourself in that kind of shape.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman like talked about it. He's like on the poster for Wolverine, and in some of those scenes for Wolverine where you see that there's just like veins popping out of veins. He's like, that I look like that for like an hour.
Yeah,
that's it. And it comes with like a huge amount of like carb depletion and being dehydrated.
Yeah,
and being insanely shredded. So anyway, The Rock holds a helicopter and a car at the same time, and he's the reason they stay attached. Instead of just ripping him in half or pulling him up in the sky, what really would have happened is he would just got yanked up in the sky.
Well, the better story would have been
ripped him in half.
No, it would have been The Rock's arm gets ripped off, and everybody's like, "What is going on?" And then
Black Panther shows up.
He gets a metal arm.
Yes.
Next film, that's how he's able to battle Exenstein,
Etienne.
Etienne. He can battle Etienne because now he's got the Bucky arm. Now he's got the Winter Soldier arm. That needed to happen. I don't know how they missed that. The Rock needed to have a metal arm.
It would have been sweet if his arm got ripped off.
It would have been crazy.
It would have made sense.
All right. I don't know why we didn't write this film.
Honestly, I feel like this is one of those movies where you say that as a joke, but we could have. So the one that we skipped over was The Rock Supermaning down the side of the CIA building. First of all, like the jokes that they play on each other, like I'm gonna release your, because for all of you guys that don't know what a Halo suit is, I know what it is because I watched a little movie called Mission Impossible.
Yeah, sweet.
It stands for High Altitude, Low Open.
Yeah,
and it's all about, you get dropped from a very high altitude so that you can't be detected by your enemy's radar, and then you open your parachute so low that it's again out of their radar. And they're just like, on my count. And he's like, boom, pulls the Halo thing. Probably would murder him in real life, or like he wouldn't be where he needs to be. But this is another one where it's like, all right, on my count. Yeah. And then he just jumps out the side of a building and Statham's like, I'm going to take the elevator. The very fast elevator.
He's like, I'll handle this right now.
And so The Rock...
he hits a switch like super hard.
He does. And that thing drops so quick.
Yeah.
But alternatively, you've got The Rock who decided to jump out the side of a building. He's kind of like falling behind them, like holding onto the rope. And then at some point he decides that it's not happening fast enough. So he's going to let go of the rope and drop like 20 stories onto someone's back.
Right.
And he does it 3 times.
Yeah, successfully.
Successfully, without hurting himself or Vanessa Kirby, who ends up like hitting the roof really hard.
I don't know.
Because it just like drops her.
She like lands with Idris.
Yeah.
And at the end of the sequence, The Rock falls on Idris through a plate glass floor and then just hits the ground.
Yeah.
He's totally okay.
So dead. But I remember watching that, and it was kind of one of those moments where I was just like, this is too much for me. This is too crazy.
Also, if you imagine like if you were trying to run down the side of a building while holding a rope, like maybe if you were at the right angle with like total speed, where you were just like, but the leverage of your body being pressed against the building wouldn't work. Your feet would slide out from under you, and you just start falling.
Yeah, and it'd be happening so fast.
How do you stay
upright? You have to be like literally sprinting at like 20 miles an hour, I feel like, to keep up with that.
100%. And not only that. Now, my favorite part about this is that in my favorite action movie of all time, Point Break, there's a skydiving scene where Johnny jumps out of the helicopter without a parachute and lands on Bodhi and is able to secure himself to Bodhi.
Even when the chute is opened.
Yeah, right. He's on him, and Bodhi's like, "You crazy son of a bitch!" and Keanu's like, "Pull the chute, Bodhi."
Which, in that sense, when the chute opens, wouldn't he just like fall off? Don't you think?
You'd think so.
You would think so, but he's Keanu Reeves.
He's Johnny Utah.
He is.
He manages, but it all drops. It opens low to the ground, which is why it busts his knee up.
Oh, right. Okay, that's fair.
Right. So, because I think that's the scene where he says, "It's that knee again."
But even that, Catherine Bigelow, she was on it. Yeah. She realized that it was probably a little crazy, so we need to have someone be hurt. Things did not go right. Yeah. So we've gone through the night and day. We've gone through the virus, the electrocution shocks, Roman Reigns not being able to speak.
Yeah.
But there was one moment, The Rock holding The Rock holding a helicopter down with his one arm.
Yeah.
There was still one thing, Ben, that was more shocking than anything else.
This is my favorite moment of the whole movie.
It was my favorite moment of the whole movie as well.
The Rock walks up to the like sweet house, the hut or whatever you want to call it in Samoa.
25 quid, he gets punched in the face.
Oh yeah. And he's like, "You're like Roman Reigns is gonna open the door
and hit him real hard."
He opens the door, and there's like Andy Samberg playing Roman Reigns basically, and it's Cliff Curtis, legendary Cliff Curtis, the bad guy from Training Day. Cliff Curtis is Searle from Sunshine.
Yeah.
The star, one of the stars of Fear the Walking Dead, a classic character actor
who has also been known to have played like every ethnicity in the book except for his own.
Yeah, he's like Maori, right?
Yeah.
So he's and Cliff has these braids. I'm sure they're probably traditional. I would guess.
I would think so.
And now I get that. So I completely understand the thought process when you cast Cliff Curtis here, because you're like, all right, I need a really talented actor to anchor this role because it's an important role. He's a really talented actor. He's great.
He picks up their Samoan accent.
Yeah, and like he's got to look the ethnicity. He has to match. He's got to be my brother.
Yep.
But it can't be Roman Reigns because he's not a good enough actor. He doesn't have enough acting experience, so I need somebody who's believable. Let me just cast this real small guy who's kind of out of shape alongside all these other guys that are
superhumans,
authentic, huge Samoans.
Yes.
And then The Rock. So his believable brother will be Cliff Curtis with these braids. It literally made me feel like watching the Mother Lover sketch, the one with Susan Sarandon and like Joan Allen, I think.
Well, what I'm doing right now is pulling up his age because I just want to know how old Cliff Curtis actually is. So he was born in '68. Okay, so he's 51, right? That's math.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's The Rock's older brother, which is what he looks like. But like, I think you guys all remember him, right? From Training Day.
He's the bad guy.
He's he's like the one whose niece gets saved by Hawk, and that's why he doesn't murder him. But like, what else has he been in where he's playing like
Cliff? Oh,
yeah,
all the things.
Everything.
Cliff Curtis is like a character actor. He's been in a million movies.
But why is he the one that plays The Rock's brother?
There was just so many issues. He's really short. He's not in shape. He isn't Roman Reigns. When you have Roman Reigns in the room with him, he's like...
He didn't even look anything like The Rock.
He's got these ridiculous braids, which like maybe it's authentic and I'm just being like out of line here, but just like he looked ridiculous. He looked like they were like making a sketch where they were like, yeah, we have Cliff Curtis hosting SNL, so he's going to be playing The Rock in this sketch.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in one of the bad guys in Collateral Damage as well.
Yeah,
it just looked like a Saturday Night Live sketch, and Cliff Curtis was like, "Oh yeah, that's perfect. This is my moment to make a hilarious parody of the Fast and Furious movie," and it wasn't.
And he's got like a lot of moments. He has like the moment where he makes up with The Rock, where they like tell each other they love each other.
Yeah,
his entire inclusion in this movie was so preposterous. Like it was just like what. And every time they'd cut back to him, like at first it was shock value for me. I laughed the first two times. They kept cutting back to him, like
hilarious.
Working on working his computer, like his 3D print. I was laughing out loud every time. I just couldn't stop.
I just want to know why they didn't actually cast a Samoan, like another dude that was just in Samoa or even in Hawaii. That
doesn't need to be Cliff Curtis. Could not be Roman Reigns, but could just be an authentic guy. Like a real...
Who probably has the accent, who understands the culture, the heritage, who knows the chant, the language, and can just do it.
Are there no actors in Samoa?
There are. There has to be.
Are there no actors in Samoa who are like bigger dudes who are authentically Samoan and like kind of match The Rock?
There has to be. And also, I will say, I'm glad that Cliff Curtis is the one that did the accent and in the acting over Roman Reigns. Because that would have been exponentially worse.
I don't think Roman Reigns is Samoan.
No. But I don't think Cliff Curtis is either.
So there you have it, guys. Those are the top 10 most ridiculous moments from Hobbs and Shaw. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I wouldn't be opposed to going back and doing most ridiculous moments from other Fast and the Furious movies at some point.
Yeah.
Because why not? Seems like a fun thing to do.
It is fun. I think it's, again, you said this when we on Action Movie Anatomy, which, again, we covered all of Hobbs and Shaw extensively earlier today on the Popcorn Talk Network. You were saying that, like, it's almost like we've done ourselves a disservice by being in our career fields as long as we have. We come into these movies too highbrow. Even though we both weren't expecting anything, we were still let down. And that just comes from seeing too many movies too often and speaking with too many of these guys out here and girls, you know? So, I don't know. I want to know what you guys thought about our list. Did you think they were as ridiculous as us? Do you think we're being too nitpicky? Did we miss any? Are there some that don't belong on the list? Are you an engineer and you know that a helicopter would be fine with that? Like, let us know.
We're not normally the make content that is negative about movies types. That's not really our MO.
Right.
And I don't think this was negative, but we had a good time with it.
We were laughing a lot.
If you guys are into this, if you think this is funny, please let us know. If this is not content you want to see, if you think this is the wrong attitude, then also let us know because we don't want to be doing that. But either way...
let me out from under this table.
Either way, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow along at Team Action Show on Twitter. Action Industries everywhere else. That's going to be Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and all that. And follow me personally at Ben Bateman Media.
You guys can find me personally at Andrew Guy. And a big, big shout out to all of our friends over at Collider. Thank you so much for allowing us to use the space here. And remember, you can find this on audio on the Collider Factory feed.
Yeah, it's a podcast network, so like, subscribe, comment, leave your thoughts below, and get your tickets now for New York. Team Action live from New York, August 29th, New York Comedy Club.
Live from New York, it's Cliff Curtis playing a Samoan
with braids. Bye, guys.
Bye.